talking about bluntness, we have the headmaster of it, if I can put it that way. He is the CEO of Bliss International Holdings. He is an entertainment guru, I'll put it that way as well, entertainment executive. He's here to be a critique, I would say. After World Music Day, where people are talking about the music, what happens behind the scenes, especially with the artists, management, image, all of that with Chi right now. You're welcome.
Hi, Patience.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
When we talked yesterday, you were sounding so tired.
Yeah, I've been overwhelmed of late with work, and we thank God, when there is work, we should actually work. Yeah.
How did you spend World Music Day? Listening to music or still working behind the scenes?
World Music Day, I spent the previous day, the eve, doing 2 concerts. One was a virtual concert with Magasco, because the eve of World Music Day was the International Day for the Refugees. Yeah. And so there was a concert, a virtual concert, an e-concert, that I was producing for the UNHCR, for the refugees, with the artist Magasco. And later on in the evening, a gospel concert, Prosper Menko.
Okay.
And so World Music Day, which was yesterday, I spent all day in the studio. I was working.
Working.
Yep.
All right, let's talk a little bit about COVID-19 and the music industry, because this whole virtual concerts has become a thing since 2020 with the outbreak of the coronavirus. You have worked a lot because you produced a number of virtual concerts that got us quite entertained and calmed our stressful mind during last year's virus pandemic. So how was it for you? Why did you come up with that in the first place?
I actually began virtual concerts in 2017.
Really?
But we weren't receptive to that because I always step ahead of time, and I propose alternatives, anticipating. And that's why when COVID hit, in 2020 alone, I did about 15 virtual concerts.
Yeah.
For artists like Daphne, Maureen Foba, yeah, Olga NK, Sanziviani.
Even Renew.
Even Renew, yeah, a handful of them. And so by the time people thought it was over, I was ready, and so I had to propose that, and one other thing, people, shy away from live concerts or virtual concerts is a lot of people seem like being in front of the camera and talking on TV. Patients, not everybody can do a concert without a crowd. It's almost,
really,
yeah, it's stressful because it's a transmission of emotions,
yes.
And so when you're talking, you're singing and performing to a crowd, you
get the energy.
You get the energy back, yes. And you know what you're giving out is right, to continue with this pace or to, tone it down. And so it was difficult for a lot, And then the other part was, how do you monetize it?
True.
Because it doesn't suffice to just do that, because it's expensive.
That's true.
It's a lot of investment, and so how do you monetize it? So a lot of people did not know how to go about it, because it's 2 things: being consistent with content, not to lose your audience because there are no shows, and also how to make money amidst that, And so it's a few that were done for free, and which the artists just wanted to, live up with their fans. And there were smart people, who came and said, okay, Chichi, how do we make money out of this? And I can assure you there's some people who made up to 20 million with virtual concerts, and which paid better off than even a concert with a crowd.
That's true. That's true. Are you going to share the secret with us this morning or no?
It is paid consultancy, so yeah.
Okay, but you're here as a consultant as well, and I think your message today is it's possible to make money from virtual concerts.
A lot of money.
And if you want to know how, you know where to go to. Where did this interest for entertainment come from, Chichi?
My interest for entertainment?
Yeah, you.
I didn't have an interest in it. It was just me.
What do you mean by that?
It's just been my life since from childhood. Sure, I had a difficult childhood, but one of the things that made me, stand out was entertainment. As way back as when I was in secondary school in Form 2, I used to organize socials in a class after school. And I had the 6-battery radio that I always get from my house, and I put in my school bag and buy batteries. And after school, I have my mixtapes I've recorded. I go to the discotheque and I do my collection, and I take a Chrome 90 minutes tape, and I have to come and then I'll entertain my classmates and friends after school with that, So it's always been a part of me,
Yes.
and it made me evolve from, being a DJ. Whilst I was in school, I was a DJ, to getting into radio animation at Abakwa FM in Bamenda.
Okay.
And then I easily get fed up because being a DJ, I was like, well, I'm playing music that people produce. So why don't people play music that I produce?
Okay, so you think a step ahead. How can I do this myself instead of just being a consumer?
Exactly.
Yes.
And so I went into producing music,
Okay.
And then when I start producing music, because I'm sorry to say, but I'm a trendsetter. So in my
Why are you sorry?
generation, because it might sound offensive to some
Okay.
people, but I'm just where I am. So when I start producing music and everybody starts becoming a beat maker, I said, no, I'm not just going to be a beat maker. I'm going to be an engineer, and I'm going to do music differently. And so I got into live sound engineering.
Okay.
And so I became one of the best in live sound recording, and my studio is a live sound studio. And almost 80% of my clients are bands, are people who come and play live for the recording, because I didn't want to limit myself in being a beat maker. I'm not saying beat making is the least of
Yes.
project. I'm just saying I always want to stand out and be different. And so
And you're always willing to learn an extra skill,
I'm about getting into something else that
Yes.
nobody's expecting, though.
which is important.
Yeah.
But then when I look at your journey, I see different facets or different skills within the music making industry that people don't talk about very often. People think when we talk about the music industry, it's just the singer. What else can someone be within the industry?
All right. In the industry, if I use myself as a case study,
Yeah.
doing music or sound engineering was just a tool for me to do what I do or what I love doing.
Yeah.
And I did sound. I studied lighting. Next thing I did camera. I did video editing. And then I wasn't doing all of that because I want to be a video editor or I just want to be a sound engineer or music producer. It's because I want to step up now and get into I stepped up to another career path which nobody was expecting or could, dream of having it as a career path, and that was events management. And so when I get into events management, I won't come and sit and expect the sound guy to do anything or the lights or the camera, so I'll be able to tell the sound guy, see, please, can you cut down 2 kilohertz or, cut down the low around 40 hertz because it's rumbling, and I'll get my results. I will tell the camera guy the shots or the angles I want, I'll tell the tone or the temperature of the lights I want, and I'll have a beautiful event. And the same way I got into TV production.
All right.
So entertainment for me it's just, at my fingertips because
Okay.
I'm passionate about it.
Now let's get to the blunt side because I see you holding back. Set it free, okay, right now. What are your thoughts on the music industry in Cameroon?
The music industry in Cameroon, it's at a phase where it's about to explode.
Okay.
It has gone through different phases, and we are at that point where talent is no more the problem. Quality, of our videos is not still a problem, but monetizing music
Okay.
in Cameroon is where we have a problem. And so the problem comes from different aspects. I'm going to highlight a few of them.
Yeah.
The first thing, which is a blessing and a curse to Cameroon at the same time, or to Cameroon music, is that we have a large variety of music.
Okay.
So it's difficult to hold down to a particular genre and say, okay, Cameroon music is Makossa, or Cameroon music is Bikutsi,
Yes.
or Cameroon music is Njang from the northwest, or it's the Sakani. I don't know. So it's a lot of genre, which makes it a little difficult to narrow down and do a trendy kind of music like our brothers, the Nigerians, they do with their trendy kind of Afrobeat.
Or high life.
Or high life, which people listen to and they say, okay, this music is Niger.
Yes.
And so Cameroonian artists are super talented, and it is a variety. Like I said, it is a blessing and it's a curse at the same time. And so we don't know what genre we should take, mainstream and push, to make it be Cameroonian. We don't know if it is the traditional Bikusi or it is the urban Bikusi, like what Kosi is doing.
Yes.
So it is a little tricky there, but there are ways we can solve it. And one of the ways we can solve it is like having trends.
How does that work?
Having trends is, the problem is a lot of Cameroonian artists are very egocentric. And they think if I do the genre of music you're doing, they'll say it's plagiarism.
Oh, yes.
So
that they're not being original.
Exactly, that I copied from patients.
Yes.
But that is what we call trendy music. If you begin with this rhythm and it works out, other artists need to produce songs of that genre such that we can have a trend of music.
I get it, yes.
And so if this season it is this genre that works, let's use it, and let's produce it. Let the artists, produce music of that genre. And I would like to, it will be easier even for DJs to mix that in the club. The problem DJs can mix, the reason DJs can mix Nigerian music for hours without stopping is that it is the same genre of music, the same BPM, and you just keep vibing. You don't know when the music changes. But Cameroonian music is difficult to mix a particular genre, if not Ancien Makossa or Bikutsi. The new music we have now from, the trending urban artists is difficult for you to have a mix with the same trend and the same vibe for 30 minutes.
I do agree with you, Chi. I'm thinking of the trends maybe in the 90s with R&B. And then 2000s, you had techno come in. So there are always trends in other countries that people can follow to and still remain original.
Exactly.
But someone else would say, Chi, this is our gift, that we have so much. Why would you want us to limit it?
I didn't say we should limit.
Yeah.
I said we should move with the trend. When an artist releases a song and that song is a hit song, it ends up not having supportive tracks or supporting melodies to follow that.
Yes.
And so it disappears after a period of time. Even the artist himself, when he does the song and it's a hit, he doesn't release successive tracks to follow up, to back up that trend or that vibe that got us.
Yes.
So that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying we should abandon. It's difficult to have a hit song. And when we have a hit, let's make it a trend. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, that means the industry has to work together for that. And is that the case right now from your observation?
Well, Cameroonian artists are still on a very egocentric point of view.
Yes.
And there is a lot of individuality because everybody wants to have an identity of his own.
Which is not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing, but the only identity we should have is Cameroon. Because we're Cameroonians.
Yes.
And so if we can just choose to do trendy music, in the next 5 years, I promise you we are going to be at that level.
So who organizes this trend? Do the artists have to come together to decide what trend they want to push forward? How does that work?
Right. It is not about a consortium. We don't need to sit and say, this is what we should do. Artists should be able to work with intuition.
Okay.
They should be able to know, okay, this is what works now. Let's move along with the trend, whilst introducing new trends, but at least let's have enough content for this trend, that can make this trend not disappear, that can give it life, And so if we give life to a particular trend, some other is going to pop up, and let's follow the trend. The problem is everybody wants to lead and nobody wants to follow.
Chi, we're going to continue with this, but let's veer a little bit on the other side of entertainment, which is movies.
Okay.
A Man for the Weekend, available on Netflix. The report will be yours on Thursday on Feelingly. Okay, so what I noticed when I watched this movie, lovely movie, I've already watched it, was the blend in music and movies. I got Salatiel's work in the movie. He did the score. It's good to see.
Daphne did the soundtrack.
She did the soundtrack. It's good to see this exchange of talents. What do you think about that?
Well, 3 things sell a nation.
Yeah.
Sports, music, and cinema. But it's rather unfortunate that in Cameroon, the government has, over the years, invested almost all of its energy only in sports. Entertainment in Nigeria increased its GDP with up to 2.3% as of 2019. And entertainment has a great role to play, that if, stakeholders seem like the government can believe in it and, invest in it. We've proven ourselves over the years. Today we are on Netflix. How big again do you want us, to prove to you that we can produce quality content? We have great narratives, and we are putting Cameroon on the spotlight. All of them work hand in glove, So music, like cinema, is a perfect blend, and I promise you, it's one of the things, that can also spear up, our country, to changing the narrative, that people have about an issue. It's easy to push a narrative, with music and with cinema, even greater than just sports.
I do agree with you, but one thing I need to highlight, using Cindy Amade and all the other amazing producers as an example, is sometimes it's important to believe in something and invest in it in spite of the odds all around you. Let's get back to music right now. How can artists get proper management of their talent? Because you can be as gifted, have something to say, but if you don't have the right team, it falls down.
Well, a lot of artists, when they get to the spotlight, they get carried, with the fact that they want to roll with their day one Gs, And so this is my friend. He has been with me all this while. So,
and you call him your manager.
So now he's supposed to be my manager because he's my friend. But the person doesn't know the art of management. I think a few months back, we had a master class at the Get Institute on artist management. And one of the things I highlighted was the fact that being a manager, number one, is not being a celebrity. The manager is the one that is not seen.
Very important.
But in Cameroon, most of our managers are the celebrities.
Because they feel like it's important being associated with a star.
Exactly. So they feel privileged, being with the artist, but they don't do the work. How connected are you as a manager? How much friends do you have in the media? How much friends do you have in the clubs? How much bookers, events and festivals bookers do you know? How do you brand your artists? How do you place your artists? It'll be surprising. Calls a lot of these artists and asks them for a press book. The manager don't even ask me about
it, because very often when they come for interviews, we ask for that in order to get to know the talent better. And most often, it's not really clear if they have that. So
if they know what it is actually. So, it's being an artist manager is an art. You are the person who has a perspective, for your artist. You're the person who delivers or help to market his dream or his vision.
Yes.
He's good at singing. So it's at the level of your manager to monetize that and to make you, the celebrity you're supposed to be.
Okay. Talking about the celebrity you're supposed to be, before we round up this interview, I want you to tell me about the image of our stars in the country. Do they master proper public relations?
You know, a lot of people take emotions, to social media, of which a celebrity is an actor. You give out what you want the people to see and know about you, and not what you are. Or what you give out could be actually what or who you are. But it is very important to be positive out there. And what is not helping is our bloggers.
Why?
Because 80% of the news carried on social media by our bloggers are negative.
Maybe it's because of what the public wants.
The public will always want that, but there is also a sense of responsibility, of citizenship, and of patriotism for your fellow artists that you should sell them right to the world. And so if you can't choose to sell these people out there to the world, everything you put on your blogs and on social media, when you Google Patience foaming in, one comes out. Is it one gossip? Patience was caught fighting somewhere, or that is what pops up, and which is not good
why
publicity
would you blame the bloggers for what the artist or the talent chooses to do?
Sometimes the artists might be victims. They might be victims. They might not propagate that, but they are victims. And so when something happens to them, of course, every celebrity needs to watch out, his life or his activities, But then when you're a victim, there are some people and blogs who their job is to amplify that. Because it's difficult in Cameroon for us to celebrate one another.
I agree.
It's difficult. And it's also difficult for us to believe that we can coexist. That Patience can host Cameroon Feeling in English and I can host it in Pidgin. So it's a problem. We just think since as she's doing in English, I'm doing Pidgin, she shouldn't even exist in English. So it's a mentality problem, and I believe we need to, wipe that out, in the
and
minds
that's
of
also the
people.
role of the manager as well, to create that empathy and sympathy of your artists with bloggers as well. I think it's your duty.
Sure.
So how do you wrap this up? What do you have to say to artists today, musicians in particular?
Well, I'll round up with this. There is the law of the 3rd of April 2003, which regulates the quota of the play of contents, foreign content like local content on our media, which puts Cameroon or local content at 40% and foreign content at 60%. And I think the head of state says we should consume Cameroonian, and if we have to consume Cameroonian, we should start by revising some of those laws that don't permit us to consume Cameroonian, which we have been fed with foreign content. And let me add this. If on media we have more of Cameroonian content, we'll consume more of Cameroonian content, and also the artists will get paid more. Why? Because CRTV, for instance, there is the copyrights desk.
Yeah.
And the more runtime Cameroonian content or Cameroonian artist music are played on CRTV, the more the artists get paid. And so if we can consume and still enrich our artists at the same time, So I think some basic things like that, can be looked into, and stakeholders should believe in us right now. They should invest in us right now, because entertainment is a business, and it's a very lucrative business.
Entertainment is a lucrative business. That's something you should keep with you. Thank you, Mr. Bliss.
You're welcome, Patience, anytime.
Anytime, you said. So you'll definitely be back again sometime.
Sure.
But from us to you is have a lovely Tuesday until Thursday. Cheers.